What's up, working class Americans? I'm still really somber from, I guess, the events of late. Just knowing that our great country is actually under attack from socialism, communism, and I don't see the public outrage. I don't see people having a big issue with it. And I can't understand. Everything that makes this country great is the fact it is a country of the people, by the people. The people of the country are supposed to control the country. Right now, we have governors who are totally going around the Constitution. We have politicians who give us lockdown orders and say, you as an American citizen do not have your civil rights. You don't have the freedoms. But then they get caught out getting their hair done in restaurants, everywhere without masks on. They do not follow the same rules that they give us to follow. They have used CIVI, and that's what I call it right now, CIVI. They've used CIVI to implement rules that are, and laws that are, they're not even laws, but they're executive orders that are unconstitutional. Now, why is this important? This is very important because of the fact when you start going around the Constitution and making up laws as you go, when you start taking away and chipping away at the American citizen's freedom, and you're not even willing to go by the same rules, but you're willing to take our rules, and at that point, you're having an elitist society set up. You're having a two-party society set up. And I know that, our country has had its problems throughout history. We know that. Nobody's ignoring that. Nobody's trying to deny that. Nobody's trying to say that the United States has always been perfect and never had no problems. We know there's been problems, but we strived. People like Martin Luther King, people throughout the Civil Rights Act period, Harriet Tubman. There were so many people throughout history, so many great people, even JFK, Ronald Reagan. There's so many people throughout history, the great men that actually put their lives, their fortunes, everything on the line to get us the freedoms that we have now. And we're smart enough to divide the government in a way that everybody got representation. Now, at this point, all of that is in jeopardy. The American working class person, our lives, our livelihood, it's all in jeopardy. Our freedoms are in jeopardy. And people always want to say you're overreacting, or, well, this could never happen here. You're wrong, okay? At one point in time, people in China thought they'd be free. The Communist Party took over. They're nowhere near free. Venezuela, Korea. You look around the world, look at any of the countries such as Iran out in the Middle East, where it's corrupt as hell. Extremists rule the areas. South Africa, you got warlords ruling. Anywhere you look around the world, the United States of America is a light. It's a shining light on the hill. It is the greatest country in the world because we are free. According to our Constitution, we have freedom of speech. We have freedom of religion. We have, the Second Amendment, which gives us the right. We have freedom of the press. The Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms, to keep well-regulated militias, to keep and bear arms, to protect ourselves from tyranny from the government, not to go hunting with, not to go out and just, have fun with, to protect us from the government and tyranny. We have, you get into 4th, 5th, 6th, stuff like that, and then you're looking at all the representation you get The fact that you have the right to speak and defend yourself, things like that in a court of law. And then you get into the later amendments, such as 13th, all the voting amendments that gave everybody equal rights to vote and all that. All those things were done because of great Americans throughout our society, throughout our history. Great Americans that looked at it and said, this is not right. We're going to put everything we have on the line to make it right. We're going to put it on the line to get everybody the same freedoms, the same equal protections under the laws, no matter what. If they're a citizen of the United States, they have the same rights. All that is slowly eroding away. People who are working class citizens, people who make, hell, look at the window. It could be anywhere from 25,000 to 100, 150,000 a year. That still barely gets you, if you were making 150,000 a year, still barely gets you to middle class status. So most Americans are nowhere near that. It's a fact. And it's not because the potential is not there. This country was thriving. During the Industrial Revolution, we were thriving. The things that happened that choked that off and choked off people, regular, normal class, everyday working class Americans, that choked out the life of the economy for us, was all the trade deals they did with people overseas, all the tax money they waste on everything except helping the American working class person. And this is important because the American working class citizen pays every bill in the country, yet they are the least represented group in Washington. That is insane. That's like you having your household but having no say in it. And these days you don't have no say. When the government starts telling you who you can have in your house, how many people you can have in your house, what holidays you can celebrate, what holidays you can't celebrate, when we know they're going to put us back in these ridiculous trade deals, roll out these same government regulations that took millions of jobs away from American working class people and sent them overseas, they're going to do the same things again. Why is this important? So throughout, let's just look at a brief time in history. Since it was, the closest one till now besides Trump, let's look at Barack Obama. His average GDP, gross domestic product, 1.62. At the time, he said this is the new norm. Even when he was talking about Trump in 2016, he said, what's he going to do? Wave a magic wand? Well, Trump found the wand. He waved it because his GDP it was 2.3, I think, and then it was 3% after that. It was 2.2% in 2019. So he found that magic wand. What was the magic wand? The magic wand was rolling back the government regulations, actually lowering the corporate tax to where they can compete with the rest of the world. Why are you going to bring jobs to a place where you have to pay out so much extra money that you can't make profits when you can go overseas and do it and make a hell of a profit? People are not going to. These people that run these, that have these major corporations that employ the rest of us, they're not going to stick around for all these high regulations and taxes and keep us employed when they can go overseas and do it cheaper. They can make more money. It's free market. It's smart business, which is all fine with the left in this country because they think that we should all just sit around waiting on the government to give it to us anyways. Americans do not have that sit around and wait on someone to give it attitude. We have been bred from a group that has a fighting spirit. Not only a fighting spirit, you are in a country where you can work your ass off and get wherever you want to. Are things limited at times? Like, do you have to go to a shift you hate and work it and work it and work it till you finally get an opportunity to move to a shift you like? Yes. Do you have to work a job that you hate to eventually get the payoff of getting into the position you like? Yes. That's what it's about. It's about building your resume, building your experience, building your knowledge, and each time you take a step up to you get in the position that you want to be in. Do you, if you don't go back and get different degrees and stuff, do you hit a ceiling as an American working class person? Yes, you will hit a ceiling if you don't go back and get different degrees and things like that. Eventually, you're going to top out, and that's the best you're going to be, but you can provide a good life for your family. All of this is being slowly eroded away. It's being taken from us. If you look at 2016 when Trump was elected, the deep state, the crooked, criminal, corrupt system we have, actually spied on his campaign. Hillary Clinton colluded and actually did what they accused Trump of doing with Russian intelligence, and actually came out with a dossier that she paid for, which the FBI then, knowing that she paid for it, intentionally leaked it to the media. Once it was leaked to the media, they used the media as their second source to go get FISA applications and get FISA warrants to spy on American citizens. The CIA, the FBI, they do not have the right to spy on American citizens. They don't have that right. But it just was one thing after another. The entire presidency was nothing but a coup. Them trying to figure out how to get Donald Trump out of office. Why? Why do they want Donald Trump out of office so bad? The reason they want Donald Trump out of office so bad is because Donald Trump was not doing this for personal gain. He was doing this because he loves the country and he loves the blue-collar working class people of this country. That's the people in New York that loved him up until he became a Republican candidate and up until he defeated the great Hillary Clinton. And then at that point, he became enemy of the state, enemy of everybody. But the reason that government, and when I say government, I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats. The reason they fear Trump, the reason they despise Trump, the reason they want Trump out of there so bad is because if working class people start putting the pieces together and saying, wait a minute, we got a businessman in office who's making better deals than any of these politicians we've ever elected. He's bringing jobs back. He's doing things to benefit the people in the country who pay the bills. He's done with giving it all away. He's not going to allow that to happen. And he's actually fighting for the working class American citizen. At some point, people are going to wake up and realize we do not need politicians. We don't need them. We need regular people. We need business people. We need people with just regular working class backgrounds. That's the people in Washington we need representing us. These elites cannot represent us. They've never lived like us. They're not us. That being said, if you just look at how biased the media was throughout this whole past election, the fact of the matter is day in, day out, pounded Trump, pounded out lies, things that they repeated over and over and over and over, knowing it was not true. The whole time they refused to accept Trump's victory in 2016. Refused to accept it. Lied. When Biden did come out of the basement, they covered up all his gaffes. They covered up the fact that he was really close to the segregationists, that he spoke at Robert KKK Byrd's funeral. They covered up the fact that he sent his family members, while he was vice president, around the world picking up checks from Russia, from Ukraine, from China. The fact of the matter is he is compromised. The man is compromised. He should never, even the rape allegations, things that, even you can see video after video after video of him touching women and children inappropriately, little feels here and there. sniffing them, just weird shit. The guy's a weirdo, okay? He is not only a weirdo, but he's been in government for damn near 50 years and never done anything for working class Americans. He helped pass the Clinton crime bill. He helped put a whole generation of black men in jail. That's what the goal was. You know, he stated earlier on in his career he didn't want his children going to integrated schools. He wanted to keep them segregated because he didn't want them in a zoo. That was one of his quotes. Biden was a true racist. True racist. But nobody ever called him out on it. He was a truly corrupt member of government who actually sold out the American people for personal benefit. Sent his family, his brother, his sons, sent them around the world collecting money for influence. Influence peddling. That's what he was doing. Nobody ever called him out on it. They hid it. The tech giants refused to talk about it. They still to this day refuse to talk about it. So they hid all this stuff. Then they used CB and held relief to the American people who were suffering. They held that relief, the Democrats, the socialists, they held that relief until it was agreed upon for them to be able to use Dominion software, to use the actual mail-in ballots that, I mean, it's like this. You mail out ballots to everybody on the voter roll. Doesn't matter if they're dead. Doesn't matter if they've moved. Doesn't matter. I mean, you mail out these ballots. Everybody in the country is not honest. Let's face it. There's people caught in voter fraud all the time. There's people going to jail for voter fraud all the time. There are people in our government who are about power. That's all they're about. They're about power. They're communists. They're socialists. They do not believe in the voice of the people. They believe that the people should shut up and obey. That is not what this country is about. We are about freedom. We are about every person in the country having a voice. We are about rights. We're about constitutional rights. We are not going to be told what to do. We're not going to allow politicians to wag their finger in our face. We're not going to do it. We're not going to bow down to them. We're not going to backtrack on this. We refuse to. Just like all the instances of hypocrisy that they've been caught in, where they're telling people what they can do in their homes, setting up all these rules for the American working class citizen, but yet the Hollywood elites, the government elites, all the government officials, I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats, the Republicans are spineless cowards. I don't even know how we even back them half the time because they're spineless cowards. The Democrats are crooks, liars. It's one of the worst parties in history. It's an evil party. But I digress from that. And I'm not talking about every Democrat out there. I'm talking about the party itself. I'm talking about the way they behave, their policies. I'm talking about the things they have done throughout history, such as, slavery. That was the Democrats. Jim Crow laws. That was Democrats. KKK. That was the Democrats. All the things they have done throughout history. And then you got the cowardly Republicans of modern age versus the Republicans of history that was a party formed by freed slaves and white Americans, and they fought together. They were strong. These people had a backbone. They had spine. They fought together to get the rights that people have today. All throughout history, you got to remember, all these things were not changed just because they were changed. They were actually good people. And most of them were Republicans during that time. They're the ones who lobbied and fought their asses off to, they died, during the Civil War. They're the ones who fought their ass off during the Great Depression. They're the ones who fought during the Jim Crow era, all that. They helped fight to get rights for everyone. These were great men, great women, great people. They fought so that generations and generations of Americans would have freedom. And we have forgotten that. We have gotten away from that. Now we have this two-party system. You have the elite class who thinks that they are somehow above the working class American. it's got to change. It's got to change somewhere. You can't have a country this divided to where one half of the country feels one way and another half of the country feels the other way, and there's no common ground, because when you go down that route, you end up in a war. It's going to eventually happen if you go that route. In order to avoid that as Americans, we have debate. We have honesty and integrity in the media, things like that are supposed to help with debate and supposed to show both sides of the issue so that we can work out our differences. Whenever you have one group who is being censored, who is being made out to be one thing that they're not by the media, by the Democratic machine, by this whole host of things that are working together, the big tech, everything working together to silence half the country, to silence their voice. You have Democrats out there talking about not only putting Trump in prison, but also putting all his supporters in re-education camps. What country are we living in? This is unacceptable. I've said 50 years ago they would have never got away with this. It would have never happened. Now, here we are at a point where, and I'm just going to say it the way it is, state after state after state did some questionable, shady stuff during this last election. And it's coming out. It's coming out. If you look, and it's people who are giving signed, sworn affidavits under the penalty of perjury. They're putting their livelihood on the line. They're putting their honor on the line. They're putting their life on the line, because a lot of these people get doxxed. They get death threats every day because people don't want to hear the truth. People want to believe what the media has shoveled and shoveled and shoveled. They want to believe in this utopia that does not exist. You can never. Socialism and communism has failed everywhere around the world it's ever been tried, except for the government and the elite rich. That's the only people who succeed in communism and socialism. They want to force that on the American people. These people are standing up, signing affidavits, telling what happened. Now videos coming out of them pulling suitcases of ballots out from under tables, just story after story. And they've got proof. They've got pictures. They've got video. The numbers don't calculate. There's so much. The people who ran the election are intertangled with one side. They weren't neutral. You've got George Soros money in there. And during 2020, they've used CV and they used fake narratives to disrupt the entire country, to cripple the country, to make it as miserable as possible. And even with all that going on, Trump still received 74 million votes. And his votes were legit. People went to the polls and cast them. He actually had votes stolen from him, and it's all coming out. People are realizing. But at this point, it's almost too late. We're getting ready to get the electorates done. I think on the 14th or something, they actually cast their vote. This has went too far. I never, all throughout my youth, I was a little bit rebellious. I was this, I was that. But there was never a time at that point that I would have ever thought that the American people would actually allow someone to install a president of their choosing. They took the voice, they took the power away from we the people, and they are installing the government that they want. And this is from outside influence. This is not just an inside job. This is outside influence. You got to remember, if you're like workers Communist Party, whatever, if you're part of that, you want to spread out. China wants to take over the rest of the world. They do terrible things, and nobody calls them out on it. They put Muslims in concentration camps. They put anybody who has any kind of religion at all in concentration camps. They don't allow their people to speak freely. They don't give them any kind of freedom. They control everything. Okay? They want to take control of the rest of the world too. As long as the United States stands, they cannot do it. As long as the United States stands, every other country that has that end goal cannot do it. But if they can install who they want to, a communist, socialist friendly person, they can start making those changes. Now, folks, I've never been a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I look at facts, I look at evidence, and I spend my time and I do the research, I do the reading, and I tell y'all all the time, do the same thing. Research this stuff yourself. Don't take my word for it, but get in there, dig, and research. And if you actually do, you will see that there is no way that this was a fair election. There's no way that this could have played out this way unless there were some tipping of the scales. Basically, Trump carried 90-something% of his party, almost 100%. He also carried a larger amount of the black vote than he did. He carried almost 40% or something like that of the Latino vote. Trump had the highest numbers of any incumbent ever in history. And all these incumbents won over and over and over and over. But then you have Sleepy Joe Biden, who hid in his basement the whole time. And you're going to tell me he got more votes than Barack Obama. It does not add up. He got more votes than Bill Clinton. It does not add up. Bill Clinton was one of the most popular presidents in history. As a matter of fact, my parents loved the man. They voted for the man. I liked him. I thought he was a good president. I mean, I didn't care that he smoked weed and got his Jimmy sucked. Didn't matter to me. He was keeping the economy flowing, and he was, he did pretty good for the country. Didn't care if he had D or R beside his name. Barack Obama, I remember thinking, whenever he was running, I remember thinking, this is a great thing for our country. This is an absolutely wonderful thing for the country. He had so much support. He had support from all sides, okay? And he had tremendous support from not only their party, but even Republicans crossed over and voted for him. Independents voted for him. He carried just about 100% of the minority votes. There is no way in hell Joe Biden carried more votes than Barack Obama. It is not possible. There was no enthusiasm at all there. And voter enthusiasm is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Because you have to have people who actually want to see this particular person excel and be the president and represent us. You have to have that. Joe Biden didn't have that kind of support. Bernie Sanders did. Bernie Sanders had huge support, but he was robbed both times. And I don't agree with none of his policies, but he was robbed. First, he was robbed by Hillary Clinton, then he was robbed by Joe Biden. But I digress. I'm going to leave that alone. What I'm going to say, and I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. We as working class American people, we as American patriots in general, we as Christians and conservatives, we can no longer sit on the sidelines and allow these kinds of things to go on every day, every week, every month, every year. We get robbed more and more of our freedoms, of our First Amendment freedoms, our Second Amendment freedoms. Everything that they can, they're going to take from us. And they will eventually come for the weapons, because as of right now, we still have the weapons to fight against a tyrannical government if we have to. They're going to want to take that right from us. They want to put us in a position where we are totally dependent on the government. The government controls what we do. They control what we think. They control what we're allowed to say. They control what we're allowed to see. We have seen this over the last 3-4 months. They have all these so-called news agencies and tech giants have controlled what we're allowed to see. We have to wake up, Americans. We have to realize these people are supposed to represent us. They're not supposed to control us. They are not supposed to sit there and point their finger at us and talk down to us. That's not the way this is supposed to work. And we do not have to take it, and we do not have to allow it. We have moved from representation to shut up and obey. Shut up and obey is a dangerous thing. Basically, they don't care about our voice anymore. They're going to do what they want to do, including and up to installing a president and putting people who have a different opinion than them in re-education camps, which is the same thing as concentration camp. I never would have thought I would have seen this day in America. At this point, I'm not going to comply. And I urge others, do not comply. Never give up. We're at the point that our forefathers were. We have to put everything online. We have to put our freedom. We have to put our fortunes, our lives, our honor on the line. Okay, that's to the point that we're at. We have to put these things on lines. We have to stand up and say, we will not comply with this. And if you try to force this on us, we will fight you with everything we have. And we'll either win or we'll lose, but we will fight you with everything we have. We'll take the legal route. We'll do it that way. But we're going to fight you with everything you have. And if the government becomes tyrannical, that was planned. It's in the Constitution. We know what to do. We cannot be afraid to do it. We have to tell them, we will not comply. We will not go along with this. We will not do it. We will fight. This country is a great, great place. The younger generations have damn near been brainwashed into thinking this is a terrible, evil country. It is not. It's one of the greatest countries on the planet. It is the greatest country on the planet. We have done more good in this world than countries that are, way older than us. As a matter of fact, within 100 years of becoming an independent country, slavery was abolished. Not just here, but everywhere except for in the Middle East and South Africa and all the places where, we really don't have as much influence. And you know what? That's okay. Because we need to worry about Americans. We need to worry about our people. We need to worry about the United States citizen and helping us rise above and get better jobs and get better pay and, try to make this country better. It's okay to help the rest of the world, but we got to start here. We have to take care of our own. That's what everybody else does. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. Big day of work again tomorrow. Always big day of work. But I'm here. I'm going to say it. You can mark this date, mark this time. I will not comply. If they start coming out passing socialist policies, if they start trying to tell me what I can do in my home, I will not comply. If they start telling me they're going to come take something from me, I will not comply. It's not going to happen. I will stand up and I will keep voicing my opinion and I will keep fighting the good fight legally and trying to do whatever it takes to get this country back on track. I hate the fact that I don't have the platform to get out there to explain a lot of stuff to people. When I'm talking to people out in the community, different places, when I'm talking to these people, everybody's like, they tell me all the time, they're like, Jamie, why do you not think about running for something? I'm not a politician, okay? I would suck as far as trying to go to Washington or even a local, because I'm not a politician. I'm very blunt, to the point. I'm going to say what I mean, and I don't care if you like it or you don't. It was instilled in me from my dad. That's the same way he was. The truth hurts sometimes, okay? And a lot of times people can't handle the truth, and so they don't always like the truth. But At this point, I have people, and like I say, out in the community everywhere. And when I'm talking to them, you know, we might start off with a conversation. We might have totally different views. By the end of that conversation, I'm going to put out enough facts and enough to show them that they cannot listen to the mainstream media, big tech. They can't go off any of that. They have to do the research for themselves, and I show them that. After they see it, their eyes are like just wide open. They're like, whoa, you know, what happened? You know, it's just the fact that seeing the other side of the story, there's two sides to every story. Seeing that other side of the story and actually looking at the facts, and they're just amazed because they have not heard the facts. And like I say, you know, I know that I would never be a good politician. I don't want to be one, but I want to expand somehow to help Americans across this country to see what I saw, to see what I try to help everybody else see. And we as a people have to spread that message. We have to get that word out. If we don't get that word out, we will lose everything that makes this country great. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna hit the bed. Like I said, I got work tomorrow. You know, feel free to reach out, like my stuff, subscribe, do whatever you can. As I go through this phase and I'm trying to reach out, I hope I get there. You know, I'm gonna do everything I can to try to spread the message, maybe get a little bigger platform and see where it goes. But anyways, y'all have a good night. God bless.